welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United beat Burnley 1-0 in what will probably go down as one of the most strangest Manchester United starting 11s ever.
It certainly was. I was watching the game and I still didn't really understand it. Desperate for a win. I wasn't even deep in what the issues were at the time. It's only really when now everything's calmed down. I look back, Goldbridge is bang on. It was so strange. Very weird indeed.
We will look back on this on years to come and go, I was there. The performance might not
like the JFK assassination.
match that, but you will look back on that starting 11 without a shadow of a doubt. Get your player ratings in, mark every player out of 10, and 6 being the average and man of the match. We'll talk about that in a moment.
He said something a second ago though there, Mark. And we had this big debate on the terrace last night on the Man United full fan highlight show that some were saying I weren't expecting a performance. And then you get others say, hang on, where are your standards? We should always be expecting a performance. Where do you stand on this? I was someone that wanted a performance. I wanted a reaction. I wanted a stronger, more dominant display along with a win because I want the confidence to start growing. Others believe the results are what's going to drive the confidence to put those performances in. That's essentially the debate. Where do you sit on it right now? By the way, smash like buttons. Make sure you're subscribing. Lots of clips coming up on the fan channel review today. So get that done first and make sure bell notifications are turned on as well. Let's get back to the GOAT.
Just reading the chat before I came live, and actually somebody said that was a hard watch. It was like walking in on your mum and dad having it off.
Stop it. Get some help.
Because where's the reward? Like, it might be a hard watch, but at the end of it, you get 3 points and you've just got to take it. What's the reward of you watching your mum and dad have it off? Are you...
Oh, Mark. What? Hang on.
Getting something out of that, mate? I don't know what you're talking about, but it certainly was.
That's why it's so good not to clip people up sometimes, because I didn't know where Mark was going with that. He's right, by the way.
It's a hard watch, and if it's a hard watch when your mum and dad are having it off, you're a bit of a weirdo, aren't you? But the reality is, it's a great result for Manchester United. The performance. Look, you pick a team like that and expect a good performance. What do you expect? I said it when the team news came out. Give me a shit 1-0 win, and I'll be ecstatic. So I can't sit here and be a hypocrite, and I think everybody else is a hypocrite here because we saw the team news, especially on the watch along and on social media, and everybody agreed you take a crappy, scrappy 1-0 now. And that's what we've just gone and done.
Do you know what's interesting? I think Mark's hit the nail on the head there. If you were angry about the lineup because you said it stunk and it meant the performance was going to be bad, you can't be angry that that particular team didn't perform. And this is where sometimes you have to look at a game in isolation, maybe, versus what I want in generality. I think people lack sometimes, Mark. They are hypocrites at times, but I do think a lot of people lack critical thinking ability. And they go, no, these are my standards. I'll always have these standards no matter what's going on. Context is key. I think Goldbridge is bang on there. Viewers, let me know what you think in the comment section below.
Blah, 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 blah.
And I watched them against Bayern. I've watched them a few times this year. It's been a common theme. When they lose the ball, the running, the intent to get it back as quick as they can isn't there. That causes problems elsewhere on the pitch. So spaces are exploited by the opposition. You have to battle. You have to roll your sleeves up and you have to chase.
Tony Cascarino is so accurate here. I've been scratching my head. Why are United looking worse now than we were 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago? It's work rate. And the mentality and the desire and the determination to work that hard. That's the thing with work rate. It's people get really annoyed when a player is praised for their work rate more so than they're praised for their ability. And I understand that because what you want is utopia. You want somebody with amazing ability and fantastic work rate. But I would always take a player with 7 out of 10 ability and 100% work rate than a player with 9 out of 10 ability and 3 out of 10 work rate. Because over the course of time, that more talented player with no work rate is going to let you down. Man United's issue is we still haven't cleared enough of the dead wood out. lots of our better players are injured. We've got a few players out of form, and many of them are also not working hard. So when you've got the 3 or 4 or 5 out of 10 talent-wise players also putting in low-level performances with work rate, you create these issues. Then what it does in turn for me, and it's a theory, and I want to run this by you. Rivals will say it's an excuse. I think it's a reason. If the team knows it gets in trouble when it loses possession, I feel like we're not relaxed in possession. So I believe we're making more mistakes because we're worried about losing it. Go and play a round of golf, and whenever you're hitting the ball towards a water or a bunker, if you just think about going in the water, if you just think about going into the bunker, I believe you've got a much bigger chance of doing it. Maybe that's it. I want to get your take on that, people. I want to know what you think. Maybe I'm chatting a load of nonsense, but please let me know.
Not he always does the right thing, you know, and that's the biggest strength of Martin, that he's always preparing the best possible way to give his maximum, you know, and that pushes everybody else's standards. It's a person who really cares about the others, you know. He's got huge qualities about trying to make others better all the time, and he's constantly looking to improve, you know. He's never satisfied. I think he's got the right environment around him, his family, his girlfriend, top people around him, and that's a big bonus, I think.
It's interesting listening to Arteta talk about Odegaard. You know, it's like everything he said there had nothing to do with his technical ability per se. He has that. He works hard on improving his game. He has a great unit around him. His determination isn't just to improve himself, but to improve his teammates and the team at large. Mentality. I keep saying this. I will never stop beating this drum. Of course, ability, of course, outputs, of course, your technique are important elements of football. But that by itself is never enough. And we know how technically gifted Odegaard is. And in my opinion, as great as everyone knows how much I rate Saka as a player, as important as Saliba and Gabriel are, as important as Zinchenko and Ian Wirtz is, I think the difference in potency they have as a team, how much more dangerous they are when Gabriel Jesus is on the pitch. Martin Odegaard, the captain, the leader, I actually think is their most important player. And opinions change. And this is the guy that I thought Arsenal shouldn't have even loaned. Put my hands up. Got it so wrong. Because my typical theory is if a parent club and a big club, a Madrid, a United, a Liverpool and Arsenal, continues to loan a player out, typically, I don't think that player is good enough to make it at the highest level. Now, I still stand by that theory, but there are exceptions. Harry Kane's. Now there's a Martin Odegaard who disprove the theory, but I believe they're exceptions. And Odegaard is that exception. He is an exceptional player. And him signing this new deal and him still working this hard and him having this determination to make his team better is one of the reasons why I just think Arsenal was such a dangerous prospect. I really, really do. And you hear the way they talk about him. You know he's got talent for days. I want to get your opinion on the importance of Odegaard, people here. Sticking with Arsenal, what's all this clip from AFTV? I want to get your opinions on it. Let's take a little look. Take a little look here.
2 or 3 years, in my opinion, if this team stays together, we're going to have an exciting time because they're not only good, but they're going to get better. We've got to be up.
Just listen to what Lee Judges said there. This is why I find Arsenal scary. Arsenal in my lifetime, barring in those midnight, like 80s, very good. Actually, for the first 10 years or so of my life, up until the mid to late 90s, 10 to 15 years of my life, Arsenal kept their teams together. They very rarely, how it felt to me anyway as a rival, they very rarely lost their best players. I know they lost to Nelka in the summer of 99, but they brought in Henry. But typically they kept their teams together. From the early noughties, from the sort of invincible times until very recently, Arsenal have always lost their best players. I believe if this current Arsenal crop was 10 years older, so if they came through 10 years ago, I already believe that Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, probably even Saliba wouldn't be there. I believe the Cities and the Chelseas and the Real Madrids and the Bayerns would have come and bought these players. And Arsenal would have just accepted it. And it would have been of their own doing. They wouldn't have kept the team together. They they can get to a serious level, this team, if they keep spending money and keep these groups together.
Optimistic because we might not be a Real Madrid or maybe even a Bayern Munich, but we ain't that far.
That's such an interesting comment as well. Everybody thinks of their club as being the biggest and the best. And in reality, you've got the two big Spanish clubs, Barca and Real Madrid. You've got Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Man United. It might have AC Milan. I know they've fallen off of late, same as Man United. I think those are the biggest clubs in the world. And then you start going to the group below that, and Arsenal sit within that. And I know that you get the league gunners of this world that will come out and talk about how we knocked the stadium down to compete. It's taken them a long time, nearly 20 years to get to this stage, but they are moving in that direction. As I said earlier, if they keep this team together, keep spending money, in terms of current quality, they'll catch those teams. They've got to maintain it for many, many years. And it's going to take years for them to catch the prestige of those clubs, especially on a European front. But they're moving towards it. And that is exactly what they promised to go out there and do. Now, I want to talk on something here that's a little bit more emotive. I saw something today and I want to get your opinions on this, people. Lee Gunner here quoted a Man United account, United Faithfuls. United Faithfuls essentially praised. They praised the performance of young Hannibal in a Man United shirt yesterday. I want to ask you, is Lee Gunner and Mike Love United Hate Glazers going too far here? So Lee Gunner turned around and said, a paid club PR account pushing the narrative for a bang average player. So going in on Hannibal. Again, I have no idea why. Lee always says he does not care about Man United. He certainly calls us out a lot, doesn't he? Somebody doesn't care at all. The comments are on the same page. No wonder this club is finished. Crazy how many people are being controlled by paid club accounts. Lee obviously caring here about Man United. I don't think he cares about Man United. I think he realizes Arsenal are on their way to big glory. So he's got to find a new target for negativity, personally. But this was followed up by Mike. Love United, Hate Glazers is his account. He quote tweeted it and said, talking about Hannibal, a week ago, the CUNT was celebrating being 3-1 down at home to Brighton. Just a few days after that, Man United fans are praising him for doing the bare minimum against one of the worst teams in the league. No shame left in this fan base whatsoever. Listen, I thought Hannibal did okay yesterday. He did work hard, he did press hard, and he did okay in areas. Fans are allowed to say, well done. Calling this young player a CUNT because he celebrated scoring a goal to make it 3-1. You could argue he shouldn't have done that. I think it was. I'm going to maybe get this wrong now. I thought it was. I think we were 3-0 down. I think when he scored, and I understand that some people will find that frustrating because why are you celebrating? Go get the ball, run it back. And I understand that criticism. I do. At the same time, I sort of feel a little bit like you're going over the top, calling him a see you next Tuesday. Equally, how do we know these accounts are paid? I want to know what their evidence is that these accounts are paid. And I'm not someone that supports toxic positivity. You shouldn't call people out if they're criticizing the club, because I criticize the club. But for me, I just think this is far too far. If I'm being like, what about this? What makes him a CUNT? Like, come on now. I don't believe any fan would genuinely talk about a young player like this who has done nothing wrong. And as for Lee Gunner, I'll be calling him out on this on Tuesday. For someone who doesn't care about Man United, he certainly tweets about what we've got to do to improve so much. I don't quite get it. Is it for... I admit, I talk about everybody else's clubs because I want to post the content. I want to make content. I want it to get traction. I want people to gauge opinions. I want people to talk about it. I do that. I'm not going to lie. Why are you doing it, Lee, if you do not care about Man United? Let me know. Take care, people. Bye-bye. Smash like buttons, by the way. See you all soon.